If bonding acrylics is still giving you a hard time, then look no further, because today I'm going to show you probably the easiest way to do that. And I'm going to share with you a couple of tips and tricks. Plus, I'm also going to show you how to avoid those ugly little white spots. In case you are wondering, I'm using WELDON number 4. The syringes themselves I get from my local pharmacy. They're very cheap. They're like 80 cents or something like that. The needles that go on the tip, I typically buy them in a little pack like this. They come in sets. These are 27 gauge needles. If you can get the 30 gauge, that would be better because they are smaller, which will allow less fluid to come out, so more control, easier to use. So in my previous video, I showed you how to use an applicator bottle similar to this one. And I'll link to that up the top and in the description if you want to check that out. But a simple syringe like this can actually be easier to use and give you better results. Let me show you why. So how about we start off with a quick and easy comparison between these two. So let me show you what the applicator bottle does. We clean the tip like this, and then we go ahead and apply some like that. Now just look at the tip. You can see it is actually still running out like that. And that's without me applying any pressure to the bottle. It's basically just evaporating, and that air pressure is building on the inside, which pushes the liquid out the top. And when you pick that up again, you turn it upside down and you got drips everywhere, which is so frustrating. Now let's compare that to the syringe, which is going in the bin after this, by the way, because that black rubber is dissolving, as you can see there. So to get the air out, I'm just going to squirt it like this for demonstration purposes. Normally I would use kitchen towel to catch that. So let's just clean the tip, and then we'll apply some on the paper. Now you can see how much more controlled that is, and just look at that. I also find it much easier to use a syringe like this, holding it like a pencil. So with this, I can easily do little drops as big as I want. I can do straight lines, even hold it like this. And the best part is it doesn't drip like an applicator bottle. When it comes to actually applying the liquid, you want to make sure you do so in a controlled manner. What you want is a consistent amount of fluid coming out of the tip as you move consistently, and you can practice that on a piece of kitchen towel like this. Alright, so let's look at an example. Let's say we got two pieces of acrylic like this, and we just want to bond them together like that. What I would typically do is start with the long edges first, and I will leave the edges or the corners like this for last, because that's usually where you get splatter, and I'll explain that to you in just a second. So I'm going to position this way so you can see better. And what I'm going to do is I'm not actually going to start right at the end. I'm going to start probably about here, and I'm going to move along the edge and finish roughly here. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge, and you'll see why in just a second. So just taking my kitchen towel, and I'm just quickly getting rid of anything that might be on that tip. And then we're going to place the needle in the corner and then gently squeeze until I see some liquid on the surface. And that's just going to seep in underneath, and this is where I'll stop and I'll pull away like that. And that is pretty much a perfect joint there. You can hardly see any liquid sitting on the surface, either on the side, on the black or on the white. So that's pretty much what you want. Now to do the short edges like these ones, or if you got letters or numbers, anything with a round edge like that, for example, I generally try not to follow the edge by dragging the tip of the needle along that edge. Instead, all you need to do is come back to the edge here, put your needle in the corner, and then just gently squeeze until the liquid starts running out. And you can almost see it coming out on the edge there. And that's pretty much it. Job done. From the other side, you can just rotate it so you got easy access. And again, we're going to start on the corner like this, gentle squeeze, and just run along the edge like this till you get to the corner and lift. I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can try and see what this looks like. And pretty much you don't want to see any liquid on the surface or anywhere coming out of the edges like this. And that's pretty much a perfect joint right there. That is already set and it's not going to come off error. You're going to have to break this off to separate those two pieces. Now I'll show you what splatter is. Splatter usually is much more visible where you got a glossy surface like black, for example, or any dark color like this. And that usually happens when the needle travels along the edge like this, and you can see it's got a bit of a bend to it. And as soon as it gets to the end, you get this flicking action happening like this. And just like that, it's unavoidable. It'll just happen when you get to the edge. Doesn't matter how much you try, it just flicks like that. And that causes little drops that basically falls onto the glossy surface, and it dries these little ugly white spots. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. The best way to avoid that is basically coming up to the edge like this. You stop around here. Don't go all the way to the edge. Just stop here and then pull the needle away this way. Try not to go up, because that's going to create a flick as well like this, which you don't want. So again, just come to the edge like this, stop slowly, and then just pull it away like that. Now I'll show you what splatter looks like. So let's say, for example, we are gluing this part here. I'm coming up, it already happened right there. And we're getting to the edge like this, and I'm trying to stop, and there we go. That's splatter right there. Now you can't see it yet because it's not dry, so we'll just give that a second and I'll show you what it looks like. Now this is a little bit hard for the camera to pick up, but as I tilt it like this into the light, you can see on the corner there, and it comes all the way to this side. That's what splatter looks like. And try as you will not get rid of that. You will only scratch the surface. So that's something you definitely want to avoid. Something else you want to avoid is applying too much adhesive to the edges. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's say, for example, we're starting on this corner, and just keep going like this. There we go. Again, splatter right there. And the liquid is actually running along this edge as well now, so way too much there. And you're going to see what that does in a second as it dries. As I move this piece around, you can see it actually ran all over the surface, so that looks pretty bad. And you can even see a finger mark on the white at the top there. And this is typically something that you pretty much just bin and start all over again. Now, I will say this, it is possible to get the same or very similar results using an applicator bottle like this. If you are planning on using these though, then make sure to watch this video next, because there's a simple trick to avoiding those constant little drips. For me though, I'm going to stick with this. Way easier in my opinion. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.